Hi there, welcome back. Thanks for joining me. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Catherine. I make journals from old books. The older, the better. Usually, always, I've never ever cut up a precious book. They're usually ready for the burn pile or the recycle bin, and I find them in thrift stores. So if you're new here, please don't worry. I don't cut up beautiful, precious books. I give new life to old books that otherwise would probably not have a life anymore. I've got a bit of a thrift haul, and then I have some catching up to do on work I've done in experiment number 2. I did a lot of videos this week that just ended up, if they were film in a projector, that saying ended up on the cutting room floor would be appropriate. So many videos, and I ended up just chucking them for various reasons, editing problems. I'm not the best editor, and sometimes it just wasn't worth all the work it was going to take to try and piece together to get the important bits of the making of the art pieced together into a coherent video. I'm not that good. The time is just not. I'd rather relax in the evening. So, for a variety of reasons, yesterday it did end up just being one video. My apologies, but here we are today. So, I've got a tiny little thrift haul. Let's do that first. I was able to, for a long time, I haven't found any vintage cards. And not that I need any new ones, so I am rather choosy now because I have a whole box and I need to remember to use them more. I need to sort of stick a post-it note somewhere that says, have you thought about putting in a vintage card or something like that? I love this card. This card is so beautiful, a get well card. I call these old church lady cards. I'm sure that if Edna had been at church for a while, her friends would start sending her cards. And look at that on the front. They don't make cards like this anymore. Look how sweet that is. So not only is the front pretty, but then you open it up and the inside, you can write your sentiment, and there's a little window here. This is going to be fun to use. It looks like there's a little mark there. I can work with that. It's highly unlikely I would keep Get Well Soon. Just that front is just beautiful. See, using it as a window, just lovely. So I grabbed it. Their cards, I think, are 35 cents each, I seem to recall. Anyhow, so I was able to pop in. It was like 25 minutes before closing, but I know this store inside out and backwards, and I can hit my prime little areas. They had no books I was interested in. Just as well, I don't need any books. I don't need them. It's not going to stop me from going up to my Kirby book sale next month, but I don't need any books. Fortunately, I am getting choosier. So I thought this one was pretty. Again, I just love that it's it's cut around the illustration, and that's pretty. I can use that. I think that's beautiful. Wouldn't that make a prettiest pocket, two-sided pocket in there? I'd like to find a way to cover that up and maybe use both sides. I also, sadly, I tend to be using a lot of sympathy cards lately. I'm a still believer in sending cards, especially to a certain generation. Some of us still appreciate receiving a card, the thought and time that went into picking a card and save our cards and display them for weeks. when I get cards for any special reason, they stay out for a long time. They really, I enjoy them very much. And I certainly enjoy finding pretty vintage sympathy cards. I actually use them and will send them. Sadly, I have not only family and friends, sadly, that we're losing, mostly parents of friends that we're starting to lose. And like, this is just, it's a beautiful card, and the wording inside is lovely. And I like that it's unique. And I would have no problem sending such a card to a friend who maybe lost, a parent or a loved one. And heck, I've even sent cards, and I've received cards from wonderful people who've lost a beloved pet. And it certainly meant a lot to me to get cards whenever we've lost a pet. I'm a card person. What can I say? I also love little pictures. I actually have what I call my little picture wall downstairs, and it's tiny pictures, and they're rarely bigger than like 4x4, and some are even smaller. And they're different shapes and sizes, round and square and needlepoint and what have you. And I found these two beautiful ladies there, and aren't they pretty? They're so pretty. And the back here, it's velvet, and it's my kind of color. It's sort of a brick red, and little dome with a little metal frame within a frame. There's no chips on the frames. Mrs. Croker, Vincent Norbert, Sir Thomas Lawrence. I might have to look up. I bet that's Mrs. Croker. And I bet either Vincent Nesbert, I need my magnifying glass, or Sir Thomas Lawrence was the painter. I may have to look these up, but I love them. I'm not sure where these ladies are going to go yet, but they're going to go somewhere wonderful. They're only, let me get a ruler so you can see how little they are. They're not, well, you can see by my hands, and I've got small hands. They are 4.5 by 5.25. Well, maybe bigger here on the corners, 5.5. They're just teeny weeny, and it's such nice shape. So really, really so happy with those. And I've got to figure out, usually I know exactly when I see just the right picture, because I'm getting choosier with my artwork, but also because I thrift a lot of my artwork. I'm okay with hanging a newly thrifted piece of artwork and redonating or rehoming, some that are up. I feel like I'm the same with my coffee mugs. If I find a coffee mug and thrift it and enjoy it for a long time, then I'm okay with redonating it when I sort of go, okay, we've got enough for a while. I think my big deal of the day, and when I say big, it's 24 by 18, is this baby. And it's a Fiskars. Isn't that nice? It's sort of, I've never seen this color, I've got to tell you. It's sort of a pinky lavender. But look at the other side. In case you haven't seen it, some of you might say, Catherine, I see it all the time. But in Canada, no, we don't see this one all the time. Light blue and dark blue. I love it. And here's the best part for me. Look at that. $3.99. Whoa, I snapped that baby up. The only thing that would have made it better if it was blue tag day. That would have been great. It was red tag day. Do you think I could find anything with red tags? Oh well. I'm happy with what I got. So you can see I was very choosy, and I didn't go crazy. And I'm happy with my tiny little pictures. So, so experiment number 2. I've actually, because so many videos, and trust me, more than just video number 2 yesterday got chucked this week. I have got a lot of things that were done off camera. And if I'm repetitive, it's because I may have already mentioned it and forgotten what was in what video and got chucked, and what was in what video and you saw. So bear with me. I'm just going to go over what I think I missed doing on camera and missed explaining to you. So I did put the header and footer lace in on the text block and glued the text block into place. I did one of my favorite ways, because this is a really grungy book. This is one of my favorite ways of doing the grungy at the bottom, is by cutting that Dollarama lace. I find it at thrift stores all the time, but you can get it at Dollarama. It comes in white and creamy color, and it's just cotton lace. And I like using it sideways and then fraying the threads, and you get this kind of uneven, raggedy look, and I like that. A lot of you have been asking about this cute little journal tag that I opted to put on the spine, and I will confess, because you're going to be seeing quite a few different versions, I treated myself to a cheat. And I decided I'm not going to feel guilty about it, considering everything that's on here, so much of it that is from repurposed sources. But I was on Amazon, I forget why, and Amazon said, since you bought this, you might like this, because I get a lot of my gear on Amazon, or sometimes if there's something I need, and when I consider gasoline, because my closest craft store is 3 cities away, 3 towns away. Sometimes it's just, if it's a little bit more expensive on an Amazon, it's worth my while to have it dropped at my door rather than to get in my car and use the gasoline to go out and get it. The Amazon said I might like this, and yes, thank you very much, Amazon. I'd like that. This book is wonderful. It's just full of labels to fussy cut. Some are written on, some are blank, and they're all beautiful. Different colors. I love the reds, blues. Aren't these just, oh, they're beautiful. I've already been getting into it and having fun with them. And there's 2 of each page, and it was very reasonable. So that's it, in case you're interested. And I can just stop explaining and apologizing anytime you see one of these show up. Here's the confession. I treated myself to a cheat, to my own rules. These are self-imposed rules. I purely enjoy the challenge of creating journals from as much as possible repurposed materials. So, and that's self-imposed. It's, if others choose to try, I welcome it. Nancy and I were saying we'd love to find more journal makers to share ideas with, who also like to try and to do this self-imposed challenge. And I realize it can be a hard thing to do. It's taken me, at least, years to collect all the things that I have for my journals. Years of thrifting and collecting, and the generosity of happy mail from people who kindly share what they had. And so I know that it's not always easy, and that digital can also be environmentally a better option. So anyhow, but it would be fun to really be able to find a way. I tried to start a group once, and it just didn't fly, and I sort of closed it down. Maybe I shouldn't have, but it just felt like nobody's here. It felt like we were sitting, there were like 3 of us in there with crickets going off in this little Facebook group. So anyhow, I'm already off topic. What else is new? So that's where the journal tag came from, that book. Your eyes are not deceiving you. You are seeing a little bit more of the gold gilding wax along here and also along the back. When I got the text block glued in and got to see her looking like a book, this looked way too just solid block brown. So I just put a little gilding wax on my finger and just lightly kissed along the edge there. So I don't even know if the camera's picking it up or not, but certainly for me in person, I can see it. I put a little across top and bottom, and now I think it's perfect. I put a little bit on all 4 corners. That whatever was left on my finger, I just used it up, and so there's just a tiny little shimmer on the corners. On the back, again, I hope I'm not being repetitive. I don't know. I thought these stains were a little too dark for my liking. Since it was already an experiment, I thought let's keep experimenting. And we know that alcohol cleans up alcohol ink. So I thought, I wonder if I can lighten these little dots by just using alcohol and just giving it a little dab. So I used a cotton swab, soaked it, just dipped it in the alcohol, and then I just very gently, just sort of in the center, because I didn't want to disturb the beautiful outline of that natural splash, because I really did hold the bottle up high and let it do its own splat. And it did exactly what I hoped it would do. So it did lighten those up just a little bit, made me happier. And then because I also had done the gilding wax, I gave it 2 more coats of the Mod Podge aerosol matte sealant. And I am happy with this cover. I'm done with it. I was considering putting a metal piece here, and I changed my mind. I played around with the interior here, but I'm not finished playing with it, so we're going to get to that soon. I decided to put this first page in almost like the way it would have been had it been a full end paper. See how it runs under this end paper? And in a way, I'm glad I did, because I cut the end papers too small. Do you see that? But I'm not mad at myself, because it's my intention to make a tuck spot on the front and on the back. And that's what we'll be working on today. So that's why on the back, again, I cut it too small. So I left this side a little bit bigger, and I'm going to put the tuck spot over on this side. So it'll be in this side on the front, on this side on the back, and you'll see in a minute why. I'm not liking the red with this paper, but I'm going to run a ribbon of probably dark green silk ribbon. You know, that tiny silk embroidery ribbon? down along there, and that will split up the two different patterns and it will look fine. So the no paperclip paper holders. Here's the horse head one. I love how that one turned out. I just love it. And there were two of them, so that came in the happy mail from Anna. And it's there for now. That's the nice thing. You can move it around, and it can, let's see, here we go. It'll hold papers. It holds them nice and snug. So, and here's one that I made using some pieces from my meatball box that Nancy gave to me for a while back. I'm trying not to hoard, so I thought I've got to get into the meatball box. So this was a pharmacist label, so I added one of the little labels from that book. See how they've got some that are tiny, teeny, tiny? And I put a little 1940s cherub or cherubim, whichever one is correct, there. And then on the back is a European robin. So I had to back that because it's one of those cards that you could stand up, and obviously somebody enjoyed it standing up. So I just backed it with some file folder. When you're making these kind of tabs that have no paper clip in them, they only need to be the same width. They can be different lengths. See how those don't match? The length doesn't matter because, of course, they're going to be on different sides of the page. And this one can go at the top as well, easily. If I'd rather have it stick out the top and slide papers underneath, I can do that. I just, for now, have it sticking out the side. But, oh, I did this as well. I think Nancy did something similar in one of the journals she's working on recently, and I loved it so much. I did my own little version of the grungy looking cheesecloth, and I like the look of that. And that ribbon came in happy mail. I love that ribbon, so it's sort of a repetition because I put a little up here, and I think I'll be using it again because I want to put this little tab was in the happy mail from Anna with Kirby's treat that Customs tried to. I'm sure the Customs dog was thinking, oh, I want that treat. But it made its way to Kirby. So this is going to go somewhere in the book. I'm probably going to glue it down and stick it up somewhere so that it looks cool. And I may use a bit more of that ribbon. I've only got this much left of it. So it's mine. I'm going to use it. So let's put this, I guess, here for now. And I really am, I do think I can remove these. Now this book is for me, so it will not be going in my Etsy shop, but I will be, it does mean that starting, I guess, Monday, I will be starting a new book to go, and that it will go in my Etsy shop. But this one's for me. There we go. 6. I'm just so thrilled. I know I keep saying it, but I'm very, very pleased with how this book turned out. And I will use the whole book itself as a template to make another one someday. I really love how I used just a plain regular book. I really do think this book was in the free to anyone box outside the thrift store that was out in Coburg. And I just simply recovered it. So this could be done to a Reader's Digest book, or, you know, if your thrift store has any kind of book, I would actually think in the case of doing this much work to a book to make it look old, the newer the book, the stronger it would be to withstand the beating it's going to take if you're going to put bands on the spine and that sort of thing. So in a way, it's kind of a cool way if you have a newer-ish book, make use of it and just make it look old. So today, what we're going to do, and let's see, we're at 20 minutes. Maybe I'll end this part of the video here, and I promise I'm going to get started on putting in the tuck spots. And that will just be a separate video. That way, if you want to split up watching them and watch one in the morning and save one for the evening or whatever, I'll leave that up to you. So I'm going to say goodbye here for now, and then you're going to see these sleeves again in the next one, and we're going to be making tuck spots with a file divider from a business drawer. Okay, take care, and we're actually going to talk very soon.